Hey guys, welcome to our second Friday lunchtime devotion. So I'm going to tell you guys a story. This morning I was sitting on my floor with my computer in my lap doing some work, and I've got a ton of stuff to do today. So I was trying to stay pretty focused, and I'm working when my roommate's cat kind of starts pawing at the door, and so I ignore him. Right? Because I've got a ton of stuff to do. But he keeps pawing at the door. So eventually he gets the door open. But I'm ignoring him and I'm working. And then he starts to kind of come plop right down next to me. But I ignore him because I'm working, right? I've got a lot of things to do. But he keeps butting his head at my side and pawing at my hands, and starts rubbing his side against my shoulder, like cats do. And before I know it, he's completely in my lap, and we're nose to nose. And at this point, you can't help but pet the cat, right? He's been so persistent, and you just can't help yourself. This reminded me of a story that Jesus tells in Luke 18. So it says, "Then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. He said, 'In a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared about men. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with this plea, 'Grant me justice against my adversary.' For some time the judge refused. But finally he said to himself, 'Even though I don't fear God or care about men, but because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, and so that she won't eventually wear me out with her coming.' Then the Lord said, 'Listen to what the unjust judge says. Will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will see that they get justice, and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth?'" A couple of questions. What are some things that we learn about this judge's character? If we look back in verses 1 and then also again in verse 4, we learn that he doesn't fear God, and he doesn't care about people. And we learn in verse 6 that he is unjust. He doesn't do what is right. To be just means that you do justice. You do things that are fair and good and helpful and following what God asks. And to be unjust means that you don't care about those things at all. You don't care about helping people or making sure that people are doing okay. So we've got this judge who's unjust. He doesn't care about people, and he doesn't fear God. And then there's this widow. Widows in this time of history were pretty poor. They didn't have any power or influence. This widow doesn't have anything to try and influence the judge to listening to her. She can't be like, "Hey, if you listen to me, I can give you this," or "Hey, if you listen to me, I can do this for you." She doesn't have anything to offer. All she can do is keep coming back. So she keeps coming back to this judge. She's persistent, just like my cat was this morning. She keeps bringing her needs before him, and eventually he gets tired of listening to her, and so he answers her request. And Jesus compares this story to how we can trust that when we bring our needs to God, he hears us. But here's a super cool thing. Our God is not an unfair and unjust judge who doesn't care at all about people. He's a good and loving Father who cares deeply about people. So how much more trustworthy is he to answer us when we call out to him? We can cry out to him with confidence, not because we're powerful or because we're influential or because we have a lot to offer, but because of who he is. He's a good Father who hears us when we call and who cares about us. And because of what Jesus has done on the cross, we can trust that we always have an ear before God, because Jesus is constantly standing before God the Father and going as our representative and saying, "Hey, I died for these people, hear them." So we can always come to God with confidence. join us on Sunday night on Zoom from 6 to 7:15. We're going to be talking more about prayer, and we're going to be learning about how Jesus prays, because Jesus prays a lot throughout the Bible. And we're also going to be learning some tools that will help us when we pray. But in the meantime, here are some questions that you can be journaling about to help you keep thinking about this. The first one is, what are some things in your life or in our world that aren't right, that need justice? Are you taking those things to Jesus in prayer? Why or why not? What do you think is going on there? What is Jesus trying to say to you with that? And what are you going to do about it? The second is, what are some things that you know are true about God's character, about who God is? How can those things help you as you pray? And then lastly, if you want to do a real deep dive, read Hebrews 4:14 through 16. These verses talk about how Jesus is our high priest. A high priest is somebody who goes into God's presence and represents sinful people and speaks on their behalf. So read these verses and then ask yourself, what do these verses say about Jesus, our great high priest? And how does this impact the way we can come before God? What things can we expect to receive when we come before God in these ways? I'm super excited to get to see you guys on Zoom on Sunday. I'll be posting all those discussion questions or all those journaling questions in the comments on IGTV. So give me a minute to get that taken care of, and then they'll be there. Also, hi Leslie. It's good to see you here. Hope to see you on Sunday night.